Well, another day, another day. I need to clean this shit up because it is an absolute state. And I want to crack into that RB20. So, let's just start cleaning my bench up because it's one after the other in here. You fix one motor and you've still got another one to do. And by the time I fix this one, I'll probably still have another one to do. So, it'll waste no time. So, that's going to be my plan. Might do a few things. I've got to chuck that VCT solenoid in there. Just do a few little tiny bits like that. More I clean up of the bench. Might just put little itty bits on there, get them out of the way. And then yeah, I'm going to have to take Bill's motor off the stand because I don't have another stand. He does have another one for me to grab, but well, I go drive into town and grab it. Not to mention the only ideal way to grab it is to throw it on the flatbed of my ute, which has in fact spit out a wheel bearing. So yeah, it's going to be the plan. Take that off and I will put it on a couch cushion or a tyre, keep it somewhere nice so I don't scratch that sump. Where is it? There, that I painted up. And then yeah, try and fit that 20 on and resaw that with my engine crane, which also refuses to roll. So, might be a bit of a mission today, but got to get stuff done. Also gonna go pick myself up a ultrasonic cleaner because cleaning is what takes so long when you're doing a motor build. So when I have one of them, I could throw a whole alternator in there beside the electrics. I could throw an oil pump in there, throw all my gears, everything. I can just throw stuff in, leave it for 30 minutes, let it cook, and it's clean. So I'm gonna go purchase one of them. I have also purchased a R35 GTR coil kit for the RB30. Nice black one, so that should complete the look, help it sell, and then it's just another thing done. So, without sitting around in my lazy pink office chair, I better go do something. Here's how it's looking currently. It's a bit of a state, engine bits and tool bits everywhere, turbos, rods, internals, just garbage. So, I'll see how it looks when I've done it. Had a nice clean up. It's a bit shaky because I'm trying to balance on one foot. But I've got myself a nice bench again. And also a box full of the bits for the RB30. A few random bits in there for Toyota and Skyline. Billet washers and fittings and whatnot. Yeah, should be good. Start roping into a new project and get a box to put them away. Before I go whipping Bill's motor off to get my stand back, these studs are too long because this used to have a spacer plate in here. So now that it's not there, I'm going to cut these down because I can't actually fit this on. And yeah, so I just need to cut down with a grinder and fit that gasket in. Then I need to sort out a drain. So this used to be on a top mount setup and we're going back to stock location just for ease of running in. And I'm gonna have to sort out a drain for him. And then, yeah, just a bit of plumbing. Still out of breath from hopping around, but that's the plan. So I'll whip them off and then grab a little drain. I've got one somewhere that I can make work with some offcuts of AN hose. I think like some AN8 stainless double braid. And yeah, get it plumbed up. And I've got a feed line there as well. It's gonna go on. And then this motor is pretty close to being dropped in. So I haven't filmed anything on that Cefiro yet. It was here, I don't know how long it's been here now, but done the full engine rebuild on it. I've redone all the wiring for the engine harness because the bro Steve at S&P had made a meal of it. So I've redone that and I've fixed it. Got to do some more interior work, fix all the head unit wiring, wire up the sub and little miscellaneous things. So he's just got to go fetch an intercooler and a, well sorry, I've actually got an intercooler. Got a GTR intercooler there for it. Just need to fetch a radiator and then do some plumbing. And then this motor is ready to fire up essentially and run in. That's better. So I just lobbed off like 15 mil of each stud. I was going to copper spray this gasket, but it's in pretty pissable condition. So I'll see if I got another one for him and I'll replace it. And then we'll jam that turbo on and plumb her up. I think I do have another T3 gasket somewhere. I know I've got a T3 twin scroll gasket, but I don't think I've got a open scroll or single. I'm not quite sure, but I'll have a hunt for them. Managed to find some, and that is the joys of being a hoarder. On my spare manifolds, I have 2 gaskets. That one's mint. That one's mint. Sweet. Turbo cleaves everywhere now, so that's good. Just got a nut sitting in there to hold it. And Bill fabbed this up himself, his own little turbo drain. And I've got a 3/4 MPT to 10 AN, which I put in every block. So usually we'd go for a stainless flexi, but in this case, we've gone to bottom mount and it's not staying like this. So we're gonna do a temporary change. So I'm gonna grab the old VCT drain, which is that one there, and it uses a smaller hole, or a smaller barb. And I've got some AN, I think that's AN8 or AN10? AN10, that's what that is. And that's going to fit on there. I'm going to cut that bigger bit off, and then this should give me a nice drain. That'll be sweet. There we are, it's pretty good. So that's got a good engagement. That's where the bottom of the drain finishes. So it's got good engagement on there. And that's also past the barb on the bottom. That is the perfect length. So when this is pushed up, that is perfect. Next thing we're going to fit up is the turbo feed. Now usually it's on the other side. There's literally a feed near the turbo, which for some reason isn't used. We're just putting it back how it was. So I'm going to pull this bolt out, which I plugged when I painted it. And it's got this oil pressure sensor T on here. This is where we're going to get our feed from. And he's got a gauge in the Cef to go for oil pressure. Because as you'd know, the classic yellow ones are garbage and they never even read. That's that. So we'll route that to come through the back here, up past the head drain, around the back and over to the turbo. Simple stuff, cranked up, and then that'll, yeah, just run up there. It'll either go above the head drain, nice and tidy like that, or we'll just put it around it. Might be easy to do it like that though. Sit it like this, more away from the turbo, but I don't quite like how that sits due to the heat. So I'm gonna try something else. That's on the money. Just put it straight down instead of coming straight out. So we can go under the sump, tuck it up real nice. And this should give me some nice leeway to tuck that out the way and come through here or over here. That's way better. Just tighten it up on the top. So we'll run it down the back here. Use a P-clamp to secure it onto the back of the housing. And then one into the gearbox brace, which we're not going to run anyway. And that should hold it up nice. That's it, final product. So I've run it to come out a little bit over here. And then pop into this P-clamp. Run around through there, down here, into this clamp, and down and around. That is the best way to do that in my opinion. Just have to get a set of M10 by 1.25 nuts. I'm going to pop that on, and that is the hot side done. Next thing I'm going to do is fix this pulley. I have no idea why, but this thing is tight. So crack it open and have a gander. Just gone ahead and busted it open, pulled the back plate off, and for those who don't know, this is a non-hiker's pump. So it's bare bones. On a hiker's one, you've got another rehousing with more veins in it. So we're off to a good start here because obviously there's rust and garbage in here, and it is very tight. I can't even turn it, barely. So I'm going to try and punch the guts out of it and see if we can free it up. Managed to get it all apart. So the way that comes apart is just this here. I don't know what you guess you'd call it, but your little wheel of veins sits in that housing, pumps all the fluid around. And the way it looks like that is supposed to go is it's just a dry fit, and it has a groove on the inside, so it must just run with a little bit of oil. And that in there is pretty dry, and it also has a lot of garbage and oxidation in there. I'll clean up with some Scotch-Brite, lube it up, throw it back together, get all that junk out of there, and sort that wire clip out which I've bent, and hopefully that sorts that. Going ahead and cleaned it all up, Scotch-Brite on that shaft, nice and shiny. Cleaned up all the veins, had them out, cleaned up the housing with Scotch-Brite as well, a few marks but it's all good. Cleaned all that up, cleaned all in there, all inside the shaft. So, reassemble it and see if it's still free. All good. just chuck that housing in, or the rotor housing, chuck all the vanes in there, shafts in, and it spins freely. So it was just dirt and whatnot sitting in there after 8 years and not getting any limby dogs. It's even free enough to come in and out like that. We'll chuck that wire clip back on, chuck the housing on, and that is a pump saved from the dump. Back together now, plates on. There is one way this only goes, because this bolt has to come through it. So one goes straight through and one is blocked off. And yeah, spins free now, because it definitely didn't do that before. Another job ticked off the list. Good to save that. Wasn't sure if it was all seasoned side and completely rusted out, but just a simple case of not being used in near a decade. Good to have that going again. Just need to do a few more things, which is really just bolts for covers and put the gasket in. To the hardware store, old blacks, and I'll grab some nice Allen bolts and get those billet washers in there. They look the part, and we'll get all that down. There is a washer to go in here, because that needs to be spaced out, otherwise the cam grinds against it and you get a horrible whirring noise. I've seen like 40 people ask about that, and they don't run the gasket, and that's why. A few more little itty bits on it. I'll chuck that VCT solenoid in. It wasn't even working before. That is because the bro at SMP, Steve himself, decided to unplug the VCT and tune it without it instead of fixing the problem, because that's what he does. The problem was the gear itself. Someone had undone the bolts and cranked it all the way out, and he just couldn't be bothered fixing it, so he turned it off and tuned it without it. Not to mention that the knock sensors weren't even hooked up as well. They were just sitting there like that, no loom, so I've made a new loom up for Bill to go back into the loom. And he may have had a set of knock ears on and his earmuffs on when he was tuning it on the dyno many years ago. But else he did a pretty gangster job, because like 4 out of the 6 pistons have no ring lands. They have turned into like one-piece rings. Even though I have fixed these problems, so we've now got a knock sensor loom that will connect into the engine harness, and I've sorted the VCT gear out and we can run VCT now. It isn't tuned for it, so I'll probably still have to run it unplugged. As I plug it in, well, all the reading's going to be off. And I need to retune it anyway, because I wouldn't run a push bike on an SMP tune. Cracking into the next day. So, I've got a bit of work ahead of me. Here's what I've got to run into. I was chatting with Bill, and he wants to actually redo this, so that was a waste of time doing all the mounting and all that. So we're going to get another fitting for here and do it in there. And then I'll just chop this line and then put the fitting where it needs to go, and that can simply just come right round into there and simplify all that. Then this whole manifold needs to be whipped off here. So he's got himself a nice 45mm hypergate. So I'm going to chop that off and chuck a V-band on there to suit that, or wherever it fits. And then what I'm going to have to do is whip this 30 off the stand, because since there's no sump, I can set the motor on the ground right on the brace rails. So it should be all good. And I'll sit that down over here somewhere on a, well, soft bit of something. And then I want to chuck that RB20 on there. I'll get some photos of the 20 before I start pulling it apart. Always got to get your before pictures, especially when you take pride in your work and you're a mahi dog. That manifold's got to come off the low mount. It's a hybrid stock position low mount, so it's got to come off. I need to get it faced, because it's got like a 4mm warp in it. It's double gasketed with copper spray, and I think it is still starting to leak, so it really needs to be skimmed. And I also need to pull the Cinco off the 2JZ, because that also needs to be skimmed as well. Here we are, we're all hoisted up. It's free off the ground, so I'm gonna whip these off, the old 17s. Some of you guys didn't know, you've got a super cheap engine stand. Some of them differ from thickness. The RB factory main brace bolts go straight in, and they are the exact same thread and perfect length, by the way. Managed to wrestle the RB30 over here, and without dropping it on the floor too hard, set that over here. Just like so. There we are. It's just gonna have to live there on the floor for an afternoon until Bill pops around with the engine stand. Managed to get the 20 over here. It's just levitating off the ground. What I'm gonna do is just whip these bolts off on the bottom of the sump here, because when that engine stand is on, or sorry, the back mounting plate, they are probably going to be pretty hard to get to. So I'll whip them off now, and then this is about ready to go on. There we have it. So motor's on the stand. Got my before pictures and my before clips and a few videos of them all sitting together looking good. So I have to whip the hybrid low mount off the 20. That needs a skim. I'll whip the factory manifold off Bill's motor because that needs a wastegate V-band. And I need to whip the Cinco off of my 2J because that also needs a skim and a wastegate V-band put on. Not quite sure if I'll actually get into taking the 20 apart in this one. Might get a bit caught up between doing those little odds and ends before I start properly disassembling that RB. But let's have it already. I'll put everything in Ziploc bags and label it all. I'll get some new bolts just like I did for the 30. And yeah, when that ultrasonic cleaner turns up, this motor should be an absolute breeze to clean up. I have to decide what I want to do because currently I'm only running a factory Series 2 21U turbo on there. On the bench behind me, just up here, I've got a high flow one, which is also a 21U, not an OP6 from a Neo. It's a high flow one with the gate welded shut, so that means I have to run the external, which is okay, because I do in fact have an external gate port and a gate on it. Means that for Reven I need to plumb it in, or I could maybe run it in without hit and boost and just block it off. Might be a pain in the ass, but might be what I have to do. Otherwise I'm going to have to fabricate something like a plumb in and plumb out setup for the gate. So another thing to think about, but get to it when I get to it, I guess. So first up, I'm going to rip this manifold off. It's going to be piss easy. There's only one nut on here. Just quickly take that line off, pop that off, and then buzz these off. They're all 16s and they're all accessible. Easy as. Easy stuff. All off. Simple. So he's going to weld that on. Check this out. It's Bill's killer port work that he's done. Not bad at all, if I don't say so myself. Done real well, done smoothly. The exhaust humps have been removed. It's been all smoothened out in here. Done a nice job of that. Now we've got to remove this thing. And these are not fun. You have to cut some studs down on the end, and you've got to put certain nuts on in certain places and tighten them before you put anything else down. Also, the lines don't fit up too well. These are the factory hard lines, which are a bit bent. So what I'd like to do is convert these to braided lines, unless I can bend these in a nicer way, because they do in fact piss me off. Same as any other removal, rip that drain pipe off, we'll rip the feeds and returns off, and then when we're a bit more exposed, I'll pull the turbo off, and then it shouldn't be too hard to get the nuts off when it's out of the car. Turbo's off, just got the manifold now. Bit of a pain in the ass, just like I remember, all the hard lines, they're just so annoying. Yeah, gonna convert it to braided. I think that'll be the way to go. Just gonna rip these off and yeah, work her off. At last, there we go. That is off. That is a direct comparison between the two. So these ones here made by Hybrid, which are also just a generic China one, but Hybrid have made them in mild steel. They are an exact stock position manifold, but tubular. So they have a better sound, and they've also got a gate port. Anyone who has heard a RB with a factory log manifold knows they sound like shit. It sounds like muffled, and there's no sound to it. They just sound horrible. So even just going to that tubular manifold does make a fairly large difference, especially when you got a screamer on there. Yeah, anything tubular, Cinco, True Boost, 6 Boost, all of that stuff changes it completely. Just stock manifolds are no good. And that's the double gasket job I did to try and seal it, just in a band-aid fix. And with 2 gaskets and copper spray, it was still blowing. So this thing is in a desperate need of a skim, I'll tell you that for sure. Got to pull the Cefiro off on, dare I say, God's motor, reliability wise, but not sound wise. Fight me. Bill's going to come in here and put a new wastegate V-band on. That is a 50mm, and I only have a 45, so we're going to change that over and then remake the downpipe. So I might just leave this on right now, and then we'll do some fitment checks and then whip it off. There's only one stud holding that in, that's just sitting there, and there's only like 2 nuts holding the manifold on. But yeah, that's where I'm going to wrap it up for this one. Pretty keen to see this going. It was single tube originally, Chinese manifold and garbage on it, so it's taken a while to get to this point. Had a new manifold chucked on, Cefiro and all that, so hopefully we'll be able to hear that bark at some point. I've got all the bits to do it, I just need the exhaust fabbed up. That essentially is the last step, and then chuck the interior in, go for a warrant. Should be good. So I've got a street tune this as well. It's factory ECU with a fuel cut defender and an Apexi piggyback. So at some point I'll have to make a video on this thing, which will be hopefully cracking the 500 horsepower mark, which it should do with ease.